Reverend Dr. Robin Tanner. My pronouns are she, her, and for anyone who is visually impaired, those are my children coming in as a parade. If you're joining us online, you might not be able to hear the joyous parade that occurred in the balcony. For anyone who is visually impaired, including those joining us online, I am a short, middle-aged white woman with some elevation in my step this morning and a faith that love holds us all, no exceptions. So in that universal spirit, we say, welcome to Beacon, where we don't believe one single thing, but welcome a diversity of belief, grounded in radically inclusive love, and committed now for over 110 years to being a beacon of that great love. Today's time together is reflecting on desert times and winter time, moments in our life when everything seems without life, fallow, or even dead. Now, that might not be the holly jolly that your heart came seeking this morning. But in this season of light, it is important to also lean into the practice of stillness, of sitting in the darkness, not as absence, but as presence, and also of having a practice of companioning grief. For as lovely as this time of year can be, we know too there is heartache and hardship now. And being a people of radical inclusion, we have come to welcome the truth. Years ago, I picked up a poster in White Sands, New Mexico, that explained how things survive in the desert. Great way. They grow quickly, the poster says. They adapt to the high temperatures in radical ways. They only go out at night when the sun is long gone. They grow tall so they don't get buried in the sand dunes. And they hold on. They hold on with deep roots, sourcing water and sustaining great winds. And so we gather here, too, in desert times, perhaps, from the world conflict, the desperate loss of life around the globe in Palestine, Israel, Yemen, Ethiopia, Ukraine, Somalia. Sadly, I could go on. And the tremors we feel here, too. How we've fallen out of belonging with one another, with our neighbors, with our cities and states, and across this country. Anyone in grief at this time of year, in the first or even decades later of loss, longing for the presence of beloved memories and better times. So today you don't have to put on a false holly jolly. If you do have light that you're bringing here in bounty, help those in mourning carry it. But if your light is dimmed today, you can also rest here. Put down, just for an hour, the mania of the season. And maybe together we can take in a deeper, truer, enduring light. Come into this space. Be human together. Let us belong here. And welcome in the abiding spirit of winter. We're going to begin with singing O Come, Emmanuel. And in kind of the meditative spirit that we're beginning this service, I invite you to remain seated and turn to, if you'd like to sing with us, 225, O Come, Emmanuel.
Comfort to all exiles here. Good morning, Beacon. We kindle an enduring flame like the candles of the menorah, making a promise across generations. We cast a soft light like the light from the distant stars already gone, but still sending their love as someday you and I must too. We light slowly like the candles of the Advent wreath, knowing it is a journey. We strike a pungent match. Sulfur hits the nostrils, reminding us that light does not arise from nothing. We hold our breath against the sturdy candle, call in the magic and play of the light. We gaze toward the shadows, knowing the darkness has life to bring forth yet.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tuli. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a plus-size woman from South Asia. And today I have a light blue blouse with a black sweater. Today we honor and affirm the presence of new life in our community. I'd like to call forward Mara and Jody with their daughter, Amelia. Jody and Mara, we're so excited to welcome your daughter into our community. For over 110 years, parents like you have brought their babies into the sanctuary to be dedicated. Just like it was a long time ago, it is our collective gathering, our intentions, and living into covenant that make this space and ritual sacred.
Jody and Mara, what have you named this child?
Amelia Sage.
You have chosen a name that came to you before you even met this beautiful light of a child. You looked at one another when you, Mara, were just 10 weeks pregnant and said, yes, Amelia shall be her name. A name honoring the initials of your grandmother and mom, Annette and Susan, as well as Jody's mother, Annette Sheridan. Amelia Sage, may the women in your family be carried in your being, giving you strength, wisdom, and great courage in this world. You're ready. We already know you have zero fear of anything or anyone, and you are already very vocal. May courage continue to companion you, and your voice never be diminished by anyone or any force in this world. On cue. These waters have been gathered across 32 water communions, our annual ingathering ritual of taking waters from each member and bringing them to a common vessel, as well as pouring some water in from the year before. Each year, we mingle the waters with the ones from all of the previous years, just as we do in community. It's time, Amelia. You ready? Here we go. What do you think? Amelia, as I touch these waters to your forehead, we offer the intention. We offer the intention that your mind will love learning, that you continue to use your voice to cast a vision of justice and hope in our world, and that you are always filled with questions and compassion, and you be very open-minded. I'm going to move this back because I can tell you're going to take the script. May your heart be nourished by the love of this community and the ones who care abundantly for you. I came prepared. May joy fill your being. We already know that you have a sense of humor. We're seeing it today, picking up on the rhythm of jokes and timing. May you continue to receive and give great joy in our world. May your feet always travel the pathways of peace, showing us new roads ahead and teaching us of the many adventures that can be. May these hands hold the ones who love you. May you always know the security of true companions on this blue spinning ball we call home. And Amelia, bring us the works of justice and healing from these hands. I don't want to give her back, but I think I'm supposed to. Mara and Jody, we affirm today your immense responsibility as parents to Amelia. It will be your task in the years and decades to come to share your stories, rituals, and hopes with Amelia, to gift her love that will allow her to find her path. And so I ask you this morning, will you both accept this charge to the best of your abilities?
We will.
And Parker and Xander, if you come forward. Parker and Xander, you are called to be big brothers to Amelia. You will lead Amelia in many things, showing her first how to walk, how to talk, how to go to school. But Parker and Xander, before all these, will you show Amelia how to love by your own love and kindness? Will you teach Amelia and always protect her? Good. To Amelia's family and friends, and those joining us online and watching now, parents cannot raise a child alone. As is often said, it takes a
Village.
Will you promise to be a part of that village, to prepare her to find her path, to build a loving, supportive, and strong community that can nurture her search? Will you accept this charge to the best of your abilities?
I'd like to invite forward the youth in our community as well as the littles who are sitting upstairs in the balcony. You all want to come down? Come on down. Come on down. Come on down. Elias, Izzy, Riley, if you can abandon your post for just a minute. Come
The
on
sound
forward.
will be okay, Riley.
Come on forward. Come, come, come. Who's here? Who do I have? Hi, Julian. Come on down. Come. We're waiting for our friends from the balcony to come down. They will be here shortly. So you all, oh, they're not here yet. What happened to them? Did they go? There they are. There we go. Thank you, Vicky. Here we are. There we go. Okay, so you all want to face me for a second? Okay. So you are the closest in age to baby Amelia, and you will be working and playing with her. As Amelia grows, she will look up to you. Will you speak to her with kindness, treat her with fairness, and welcome her into your circle of friends? If so, please say we will. We will. Great, thank you. You can turn around now. And I'd invite the congregation to rise as you are able. We as a congregation also pledge our commitments to little Amelia. Will you take upon yourselves the privilege and responsibility of helping to nurture the life and spirit of each child? Will you pledge your love and care in teaching our children and welcome them into our congregational family? Yes. If so, please respond with "we will."
Now may the love that is our source and our common destiny hold us all and sustain us as we welcome you, Amelia Sage.
You may go back to your seats, but stay close by because now we have the candle lighting.
Good morning. My name is Kit Stinson. I have no preference for pronouns. I am one of the chaplains here at Beacon. Beacon chaplains are trained volunteers who work with our ministers to extend the spiritual care of our community. We define spiritual care as intentional compassion, offered through presence and deep listening. Chaplains also lead shared rituals, including the community candle lighting. Together, we light candles of joy, sorrow, and gratitude, first as a congregational community, and then as individuals. Today, we light a memorial candle for Toby Levine, the ex-wife of Beacon member Alice Levine. Toby died last Thursday after an 8-year battle with Parkinson's. We hold Alice, their daughter Stacy, and grandchildren Aisley, Hope, and Zach in our hearts and thoughts this morning. We light a candle of healing for Ross Wagner, who's in the hospital with pneumonia and congestive heart failure. We light a candle of support for his wife, Kathy, and daughter, Suzanne. And finally, in the season of miracles, we light a candle of faith that there will one day be peace on earth, and that we all, in some small way, might have helped to bring it to pass. For all these things, public and private, spoken and unspoken, I invite you now to come forward and light a candle here in our sanctuary or wherever you are.
Our next song is number 1034 in the Teal hymnal, De Noche. This is in the style of Taizé, the movement from France, where the point is to repeat the music in order to have a meditative experience. So we're going to do this song first in English, one time in Spanish, and again in English.
Blessing for the Longest Night by Jan Richardson. Okay. All throughout these months, as the shadows have lengthened, this blessing has been gathering itself, making ready, preparing for this night. It has practiced walking in the dark, traveling with its eyes closed, feeling its way by memory, by touch, by the pull of the moon, even as it wanes. So believe me when I tell you, this blessing will reach you, even if you have not light enough to read it. It will find you, even though you cannot see it coming. You will know the moment of its arriving by your release of the breath you have held so long, a loosening of the clenching in your hands, of the clutch around your heart, a thinning of the darkness that had drawn itself around you. This blessing does not mean to take the night away, but it knows its hidden roads, knows the resting spots along the path, knows what it means to travel in the company of a friend. So when this blessing comes, take its hand, get up, set out on the road you cannot see. This is the night when you can trust that any direction you will be walking toward the dawn.
Beloved, I want to invite you into a meditation of journeying in the desert. But don't worry, we don't have to get on a plane or in a car to do so. We're going to take this journey together here and now, wherever here may be for those joining us online. I'm going to start with a few deep breaths. The kind that if someone's sitting next to you, they know that you are robustly living. drawing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Maybe as you're able, you roll your shoulders back. Loosen your jaw if you can. Even lower your brow. Perhaps hands open on your lap and you find an ease in your being. If you're comfortable with eyes closed, you can close them. You could gaze at the light of our chalice, or perhaps the desert landscape at the front of our pulpit. Come with me into that desert of white sands in New Mexico, formed from the retreat of the Permian Sea millions of years ago. All around you, 360 degrees, all you see are white sand dunes. These dunes rolling out deep in the Chihuahuan Desert. You notice the sand is not sticky but dry. Formed from gypsum salt, it runs through your fingers. It moves easily between your toes. As you take in this landscape, you notice some sand verbena with its soft pink flowers near you. It is a reminder of growing quickly in desperate times. An Apache pocket mouse scuttles across the sand. This creature has created a coat that is much lighter than its nearby cousin to avoid the heat of the sun in this desert. It offers you the lesson of shifting, transforming, adapting. You are here at night. The coolness of the hour beneath a full moon reminds your body and soul of the gifts of darkness. Life flourishes in the desert at night. The stillness holds you, and your own voice, perhaps that of the Oversoul, can speak here at last. You wait just a little longer in this luscious quiet. You take notice of a yucca plant that grows tall, resisting being buried by moving sand dunes. What threatens, beloved, to bury you in this moment? Can you rise like this spiked plant toward a cloudless sky? Can you too emerge tall, high above any shifting dunes? Just before we leave our desert landscape, there's one more lesson, one more bit of wisdom tucked here. A skunk bush sumac has formed dense, steep roots that foster all manner of life, like the foxes who form dens in its pedestals. You, like this great plant, are rooted here in community, networked across these desert times. Notice and even name in the silence of your heart all the connections and beloveds who sustain you, roots reaching deep and wide. Offer thanks and gratitude for those beloveds. Taking one last breath here. Gratitude for the gift of earth and your own life. Come back slowly as you are able, bringing the peace and stillness with you. Let's take a couple more deep breaths. Into this expansive and generous space of spirit, I want to welcome Beacon member Stacy Lees, who embodies generosity, to come and introduce our offering. Stacy? Of course.
Good morning. I agreed to do this. I only appear to be under duress. This is so scary. My name is Stacy Lees. Thank you. My pronouns are she, her, and for those who would like a visual description, I closely resemble a middle-aged Asian woman in a black floral dress. I've been a Beacon member for 10 years. This is actually not my first time standing here, and I did survive, so I feel like there's a good chance that I will again. I joined Beacon with my family. My then husband was looking for something similar to the Anglican church that he grew up in. I never fully embraced the Judaism that I grew up with. Sorry, Mom and Dad. And so we happened here. It was a good fit. And for me in particular, because service is my love language. And you may know, Beacon offers many opportunities for service. I've learned so much about myself from these experiences. Running annual giving while I was 7 months pregnant taught me that I have energy when I need it. Keeping track of volunteers and unhoused guests of Summit Warm Hearts in lockdown taught me that I'm a Gryffindor. I had no idea that I was that brave, but now I feel like I can fully embrace that part of myself. Teaching RE taught me that teaching is not one of my gifts. Early in the days of Summit Warm Hearts, I remember overhearing some of our unhoused guests say that they didn't like having, air quotes, civilians around on Sundays, by which he meant those of us who attend our Sunday services here at Beacon. And at the time, they were here both during our day program and we were hosting them at night, also in the freezing temperatures. So they felt at home here. And I realized, kind of territorially, that I feel like Beacon is my home. And I think that there are other people in our congregation who feel similar. I know youth group who attends lock-ins here have their own connections to Beacon. Community groups and choir who meet regularly have personal connections to Beacon. Anybody who has made coffee or done dishes downstairs, you are home here. You're truly at home when you're doing chores here. I think that Beacon is large enough and varied enough for us to each have our own unique home here, while simultaneously sharing those gifts with each other and connecting us to each other. I think because I feel that Beacon is my home, I feel a personal responsibility to share and give and be personally responsible for the upkeep of Beacon. And which leads me to my very last thing. I'm going to be running Spring Forward coming up, and I ask each of you, I need your help with this. This is going to be a huge challenge, and I know that I think it's an opportunity for us to search our hearts for ways that we can grow ourselves and give back and share those gifts that we have in abundance in support of Beacon.
Thank you so much, Susie. Thank you so much for all the times that you've said yes, even in seemingly impossible situations, and truly exemplified what it means to be a beacon, to shine the light and magnify it. And in that spirit and with deep gratitude, Stacy, for your words, our morning offering will now be received, beloved.
Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Hold on just a little while longer. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. Sing on just a little while longer. Sing on just a little while longer. Sing on just a little while longer. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right. Pray on just a little while longer. Pray on just a little while longer. Pray on just a little while longer. Everything will be all right. Everything will be all right.
Thank you, Misa. I also want to take a moment to appreciate our new backdrop behind me that was created by Beacon member Helen Kerr. It's just an incredible winter landscape. I don't know about you. Maybe I'll just preach this way. Would that'd be a little awkward, huh? Yeah, okay, maybe not. Across the world's traditions, the desert is a pretty ancient metaphor for a place of struggle and discernment and crossing the threshold. Many of us know the stories, for example, from the Judeo-Christian narratives, whether it's Jesus in the desert, right, where he battles with an angel that some say is Satan and finds his calling to ministry, or the Israelites for 40 years that lost a generation in order to find the vision and freedom to imagine and live into the promised land, as well as Muhammad in the cave, or even Buddha underneath the tree. And we Unitarian Universalists, we have our own kind of desert narrative, a story of living as a recluse and transcendentalist Thoreau, who pitched a tent. Well, it's really a cabin if you go there, and it's quite nice, but yes, it was a tent in the wilderness. But Thoreau's intentions was to remove himself from the known and kind of created bustling world in order to discern deeper truth. Ancient cultures in the northern hemisphere, going back to the Druids, saw the desert times in winter. They stopped and looked into the winter sky. They waited around a fire for the return of the sun, not because they didn't think it would return, but because there was learning in this ritual. We find practices in Mayan culture as well around desert times, around embracing times of absence. There were years indeed when the harvest wasn't enough, and when the growing season was long gone, that death might come into a community before the sun and the spring could return. And so many of the first peoples knew that the earth herself needed this fallow, seemingly dead time in order to have a genesis. Some sociologists and movement theorists are now saying that we find ourselves in a cultural, in a political, and even spiritual desert time. It's a time when, although we are flooded with information, we are also easily the most misinformed and information abused generation. There is great political despair among many of us as nationalist right-wing leaders continue to arise around the globe, and not only that, but gain more power in some cases. As one elder said to me recently in pastoral care, it's a terrible time to die. All that I've worked for some days, she said, seems to be dissolving. And there is, too, a sense in this uncertainty of what is real and possible, a deeper spiritual despair of fatigue and exhaustion and unknowing. Add to this the struggle of anyone who is experiencing grief. Even those here, as we said goodbye to Reverend Emily, you can see how one grief, like a knot on a very long rope, pulls on all the other knots it's connected to. So I understand, beloved, that you might not be feeling the holly jolly, even though you feel like you have to put it on. Our culture keeps us so busy. But being busy doesn't mean having a purpose-filled life, does it, beloved? And I've been wondering lately, when the lights are always on and it's forever daytime, when is the time for sacred rest and dreaming? Could the despair we feel, so many across the world truly, be from the dislocation we have from ancient rituals and practices that kept us in a cycle where solstice or slowing or silence or blessed darkness could hold us, could inspire us, could act as midwife for the world that we could not imagine in the blistering forever sun. Truth is, nowadays, we can completely avoid solstice time. We can keep the news running until we fall asleep, even running in our dreams at night. Has that happened to you ever? And we can ensure that all of our devices are right there at the pulse of the morning to dictate our day. We can fill our meetings and time with loved ones with being in 3 places always at all times, and by consequence, never being anywhere. Because we're checking our watch, or checking our phone, or thinking about where else we need to be. Years ago, I went on a silent retreat in New Mexico. Now, it was supposed to be a 5-day retreat in complete silence. But by the second day, almost like an addict to constant stimulation and news, they had us put our devices all away. I found myself clawing for conversation. And so I started catching people, like on their way to the chapel or on their way to the labyrinth out in the desert, and I would just, kind of lean in. What's your name? Why are you here? Are you doing all 5 days? Eventually, after a few of these conversations, I got caught. And initially, I got a warning, an invitation to embrace the silence even if it wasn't my pace. I went back to the retreat. But by midday in the chapel, I found myself sitting next to someone, asking her all about her life and what she thought about the retreat center and where she was going next and how her experience was. And that is when one of the sisters pulled me aside. And with a incredibly compassionate smile, she just stared at me for like 45 seconds. I don't think, dear, this is for you. And she did it in such a nice way that I was at least 5 miles in my car on the way home until I realized I'd been kicked out of a silent retreat. It was then that I decided there in the middle of the desert to turn off the radio, to roll down the windows, and suddenly, driving there in the desert completely alone, I let the silence sit. I think a part of me was afraid of being alone with myself. Maybe a part of me was afraid of what I might hear, what might emerge from the silence. It was there that I decided on that 3-hour drive back to leave hospital chaplaincy and go into congregational ministry. It would be just a few months later that I was getting ready to move to North Carolina to start in my first congregation. I think often of that moment, this might not be for you. And how if I hadn't simply turned everything off, I might not be here at all. Yesterday, I sat in another retreat for a couple hours. It was a shorter period of time. They asked us to create a vision board, these 14 ministers of all different denominations and disciplines. It's a week before Christmas. I could feel everyone in the room just roll their eyes when they said vision board. Like, we have work to do. Do you not know that, we were saying? But we listened. And our facilitator asked these questions. If you could go anywhere, where would you go? What would you do? And what would your house look like? I sat there for about 10 minutes, and then I started chatting with my table mate about ministry and congregational life. She is a minister in East Orange and has young children like I do. The facilitator came over and looked at us and smiled for about 45 seconds. And then she said, "Are you dreaming or are you doing the work of the practical?" The facilitator reminded us how important dreaming was, and finally I said, "Okay, just listen though. I have non-negotiables, okay? I have kids, and I have a spouse, and I have a full congregation in the midst of a very important project. I can't just go anywhere. So isn't dreaming just like a little absurd right now?" She smiled deeper. I knew it was coming. Apparently, I haven't learned a lot in the last 15 years. She said, "Do you believe in the holy, like in something bigger than yourself?" "Yes, I do," I said. Then, believe in a life larger than you can imagine and events you could never plan and friends you haven't yet met who could emerge in ways you can't even calculate. Okay? I sat longer and started to work on that vision board. And I didn't imagine myself going to some distant place with a life totally different than the one I'm living, not somewhere warmer and sandier and sunnier. Instead, my vision board planted me more deeply here. And the silence was not the absence of sound, but the presence of listening, and the roots held me, and I remembered I can grow quickly and tall, and darkness has dreams to share. I know, beloved, there are many reasons you can't dream. Many reasons you could give me that you can't cease the endless flow. But the first peoples before the world was forever daylight and wired told us how to live into the impossible. To grow quickly and respond to the world as a dance. To also go out at night in dialogue with the wild, fearless moon. To grow tall and refuse to be buried until life is truly over. And when all seems lost, to hold on. For deep roots can source unseen waters to quench the greatest thirst. I wish for you, beloved, the courage even when you roll your eyes or say I'm too old or too busy or too young or too sad or too exhausted to let the soft being of your being be held in the night. To embrace these desert times and this coming winter solstice. Dream with me. For is that not the impossible end to the brutality and despair? There in the quiet darkness, a new world needs our tending. One we cannot calculate or plan or even imagine, and yet impossibly could emerge. In this winter solstice, may we be faithful to what we cannot yet know. So may the mystery hold us. Amen.
Thank you. Our closing song is number 226 in the charcoal hymnal. It's People Look East. If you follow the top line of text in every grouping, you'll be able to follow the words of this hymn. Would you please stand in body or spirit as we sing this song of hope? People look east, the time is near, of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able, trim the hearth and set the table. People look east and sing today, love the guest is on the way. For flourish. People look east and sing today. Love, the rose is on the way. Stars keep the watch when night is dim. One more light the bowl shall brim. Shining ye on the frosty weather. Bright as sun and moon together. People look east and sing today. Love, the star is on the way.
Beloved, would you take hands with one another for our closing benediction or blessing? And I extend our chalice as well as my hand to all beloveds joining us online. You are part of this circle too. Trust, beloved, what the eye cannot see nor the mind fully calculate. Look to the moon in the winter's sky. She has stories yet to tell you. Hold on and indeed look east. The sun will return from the deepest night. It shall return from a mystery greater and older than we shall ever know, and from a love that is our source, and someday our return. So may we live in that love, lean into that love, and be beacons to give it freely. Amen.